Hello everyone. This video is a brief introduction to COVE. My name is Dino Franco Faluga. I'm the general editor. COVE is actually two spaces, COVE Studio and COVE Editions. COVE Studio is password protected because this allows us to protect the privacy of students who do not intend their annotations to be seen by the world. And it also supports fair use uploads of content. It's also our main sustainability mechanism, since universities can subscribe as an institution, which allows students and faculty to access our, now at the time of this recording, 8 million words of content, over 700 titles coming from all periods. Purdue was the first such subscriber, but we've had a number of institutions, as you see here, who have subscribed since. If that's something that interests you, simply contact me. I can give you more details. The other site is COVE Editions. The institutional subscriptions are designed to support our open access publishing space. This is where material can be published after peer review and copy editing. It's also where you and your students can explore publishing on your own without the intention of submitting for peer review. We provide a number of tools there that allow you to establish a flipped classroom space where you can build galleries, annotated maps, and timelines. If you do subscribe to COVE Studio as an institution, that means that you can log in the same way that you do to email or EduRoam. At Purdue, for example, we have two-factor authentication. Everyone else pays $10 per user. Again, the goal is simply to provide some support for the initiative, which is nonprofit. What can you do at COVE Studio? Well, you can create an anthology. We have made it very easy for you to build your own space, draw from our large group of texts. As you see here, I've created one called a Ryerson Anthology for Ryerson University, and from there I can begin looking for individual texts. Here is Shakespeare's Tempest, for example. Our content is strongest in the 19th century, so since that's where we began. I'll add in a Lewis Carroll text, but we've been increasing the number of texts that we have from other fields. If you're interested in the Restoration, for example, we have some Afro-Ben poems. If you are interested in Virginia Woolf, we have a number of her texts available as well. Once you've selected your text, you click on All and you can see the list of texts. Students can click on any title and immediately go to the individual work. If it's a poem, we have provided line numbers, and all the texts are ADA compliant. Within the anthology, you can sort alphabetically by title or by author in order to more easily find a given item. And you are in control of who is part of an anthology. I'm going to add just one student here from Purdue, and you should also always add yourself so that everyone is part of the group that makes up an anthology. So I'm going to do that. As you see, this anthology has just 2 users. Once you've created your anthology and uploaded, you can also upload your own texts. And we've tried to make that very easy to do. Now, we'll encode anything that you request of us. And if we have the capacity, we'll do that for you and make sure that it is ADA compliant and properly formatted. But if you needed a text right away, like say this Afro-Ben poem, you can very quickly cut and paste into the interface. We have a bunch of WYSIWYG mechanisms here. What you see is what you get, so you can edit it to look the way you like. You need to add in some metadata so you can find it again after you've uploaded it, and as well especially the author with the last name first so that it alphabetizes properly, and mark its right status. Once you set it as annotatable, it's available to annotate with others. And so if you go back to your dashboard and find your anthology, which I call Ryerson Anthology, and do another search for Ben, you'll see the text that we just created there, and we can assign it to that anthology. If you click on it, from within the anthology, you'll see that there are the same two students, well, one student and myself, who are assigned to this particular anthology. You can then annotate any of these texts with your students. There's Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. As you see, we include images if they're significant for a given text. Here are, if you click on whole document, all of the annotations made by actual students in this class. Clicking on any one annotation takes you directly to that spot in the text. We have also worked to make it very easy to add in images, audio, and film to your annotation. So if I go back to that Tempest text, let's say a student wants to add an image of William Shakespeare. They just need to find an image somewhere on the web, say at Wikipedia, where you have to click on the image twice to get to the JPEG. But if I just copy that web address and paste it in, mark that others in my group can see that annotation, and then save, it's that easy to add in an image, and students really enjoy doing that. You can very easily integrate into your learning management system. Every time you create an anthology, you create a unique URL. There it is there, Ryerson Anthology, which means that each anthology and each text within your anthology has a URL that you can add into your learning management system at Purdue. It's Brightspace. So as you saw, the link was seamless. Here you can see all of the students, and I can filter by student. You can see that students made good use of the image function. One student said, "Isn't that the same George III as in the Hamilton musical?"
George Washington's yielding his power and stepping away. Is that true?
So I was able very quickly to add that in for the benefit of the rest of the class. And finally, you can also create your own critical editions with your students that you then submit for publication. A number of scholars have done that now. The first was Lorraine Jansen-Koistra with Clemens Hausmann's The Werewolf. I just did that last spring with my class, an edition of Amour de Voyage. So these are our annotations. This work is not going through peer review. We included audio.
Over the great windy waters and over the clear-crested summits.
The goal being that we could thus more carefully analyze the weird dactylic hexameters of that poem. We had an art historian student who collected photographs, period photographs, that we included in our annotations. Stacy Smith is her name. And then once we were ready to publish, we did that at COVE Editions, where we also added a timeline using the tools at COVE Editions. We created a map so that you could see the locations of this poem, which happens around Rome during the 1848 revolution in Rome. As you see, England looks a little different. That's because we have pinned there an 1880s ordnance survey, so you can see what England looked like at the time. And you can very quickly toggle that on and off. There's a Google Map API behind that. And then finally, our exhibit, which collects all of those photographs from the time period by Robert McPherson, collected by that art historian student. Those are the tools at COVE Studio. As you've been seeing, there are a number of tools at COVE Editions as well. Most people use Studio since that's where all of our primary texts exist. But if you're feeling more adventurous, there are a number of tools here that you can use with a classroom. You can create a classroom so you can keep track of your students. This is my class on Leonardo da Vinci from about a year ago. You can see my students there on the left. And together, we created a number of things. A timeline. This is what students created as research for their final papers. We created an interactive map. Again, this is the work of my students doing research on Leonardo da Vinci. And we created an exhibit where students added images tied to their research. Here, for example, is a student interested in Renaissance architecture. The gallery can be linked to a map and to a timeline entry so that all of the tools work together seamlessly. And there's also even a graph that allows you to very quickly see whether your students are all doing the work that they're supposed to be doing. We've had many users, so we know that the tools are useful. Students really enjoy it. The students that really benefit are, say, any student that feels shy, perhaps speaking in the face-to-face classroom. They really blossom in this environment and can be more actively engaged in the classroom. And teachers have greatly enjoyed our tools. We provide support and make teaching fun. Thank you for listening to this very brief introduction to COVE. If you have questions, never hesitate to email coveeditions@gmail.com. You can also email me, feluda@purdue.edu. Thank you.